What's up, guys? It is the 2nd of January 2026, and this is our goal setting workshop. It is an interactive workshop. If you're not here live, obviously you can still do the stuff, writing it down. So you should have pen and paper with you. This is a workshop, not a just, me talking at you. So let's just head straight into it. Okay, Jess, thumbs up. Can you see this? Cool. Okay, so this is going to be let me actually make this a little bit bigger so I can fully see here. There we go. This can be for goal setting for people that actually want to succeed, right? Because there are so many people that I speak to on a daily basis that are like, I really want to, I know, lose weight, or I really want to get a promotion, or I really want to meet the love of my life. But that's not true. That is a lie. What they want or they like is the thought of having those things. But when it comes down to taking action, they're like, I don't really want to track my food, or I don't actually want to like move throughout the day, or I don't actually want to go on dates. I don't want to like put myself out there. So we need to make goals that are aligned with our values, with our eventual outcome, I suppose, the journey, and looking at things like that you're not willing to give up. Because there are some things like I'm not willing to give up. I'm not willing to give up chocolate, right? If that means I will never get to like 12% body fat, so be it. I'm much happier eating chocolate every day, right? So we need to think about those kind of sacrifices as well. So goal setting. This is not like a rah rah, you can do it, let's go, girl. We're not doing that, okay? I'm not a hype girl. I am your coach. I'm going to coach you through exactly how this works. So we're going to bridge the gap between planning and doing. We're going to set the goals, then we're going to understand how to do it, why to do it, and then, like I said, at the end, I'm going to briefly touch on the future trainings that we're going to do in the group. So this is an exercise to warm up your brains because probably none of you have been in work, or a lot of you haven't been in work for a little while. So in the chat, what I want, I'm going to time 60 seconds on my watch, and I want you to tell me the as many ways as possible that you could use this wine bottle. Okay, I know some of you going, "Ugh, I hate this stuff," because I was exactly the same. But it's really important that you take this time to think outside the box because it's going to set your brain up ready for the rest of the call. So, with that being said, let's let Claire in here. And 1 minute, and I will explain to Claire as well. So, in the chat, let's go. So, Claire, because I know you just popped up here. Where are you? There you are. The goal is at the minute in the chat to, I'll put it in here, put in as many ways you can use this wine bottle. Okay, so we've got cooking, yeah, flatten like a meat beater, I suppose. A rolling pin, drinking, yes, I'm surprised that wasn't the first one to come up. Massage muscles, yeah, you can use it as like a foam roller, glass roller, I suppose. What else? Shampoo, you can put shampoo in that. Decorative, yeah. Coin collector, that's a good one, yeah. Hit someone, only kidding. That is in my list, actually, yeah. Water holder, yeah, you can reuse it as like a drinking vessel, shall we say. A gift, yeah. Candle holder, yeah. Use it, use the cork as a tub toy. Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. All right, so that was a minute. I know it felt like very, very quick. But there was some out of the box thinking here. Like obviously the first one is drinking it, right? It's not really out the box. That's what it's literally meant for. But you can see, like, I never thought of a couple of these, like using the cork as a tub toy. Anna says, if not classy, screw cap as a earring holder. There we go. She's got all the ideas. You can tell she's a writer, can't you? All the open mind. So there are lots of ways that you can use this. And for reference, I did go on a little bit of a thinking spree. This did take me a little bit longer than 60 seconds, I will say, but things like taking the label off and putting on another label for like a keepsake, right? You can give it as a gift. You could put flowers in there. You could use it as a doorstop. You could use it as weights. You could, yeah, art projects. You could smash it up and make like a mosaic or a light, like a sun catcher. You could use olive oil, whatever. There are so many ways that you could use that. And when you're thinking about your goals, this is something that you need to be practicing before you set your goals, because it's very easy going, oh, well, I just want to lose weight and that's all, right? Losing weight's not going to make you happy. Getting the confidence to do X, Y, and Z will. So maybe you want to, I remember one of our clients wanted to do a zip line. Maybe that is your goal. You need to be like a certain weight to be able to do that. Maybe you want to do, um, maybe you want to do, what else could you want to do? Maybe you want to start a business, right? These are big goals. You need to be thinking outside the box to really get to where you want to be. So before you do any kind of goal setting, I would set yourself the 1 minute to do something like this. You could use a coat hanger as an idea. You could use a brick, like the ways that you can use a brick. Again, Claire, you can hit someone with a brick also. Um, so there's different things that you could use for this. So the reason that most goals fail, there are so many, and you guys have probably experienced the majority, if not all, of these just four that I've chosen to put in here. So the first one is emotionally disconnected. They're like, oh, you have to, like if you've got a project at work, you're like, oh, I don't really want to do it. I don't want to, right? And I don't know what I should because that's what I should be doing, and that's the next step in my role or whatever. That is external pressure. Or this one I see quite a lot because obviously the field that we work in is I want to lose weight. But it's not because you actually want to, it's because everyone else is doing it. Or the I don't want to go down this road, but the unachievable beauty standards in the industry. There's so many different things that we're like, well, I should want this. But I don't really. I don't really feel like I want it. And if you think about a relationship, right, you could put it this way as well. If you're in a relationship and everyone's like, oh, they're lovely, you should stay with them, and they're stable, no red flags, and deep down you're like, "Ah, but I don't know, I'm not really vibing with this person." That is going to make you either want to stay with that person or not. If you do stay with that person and you're not vibing with them, then it's probably not going to end up great. It's too vague or unrealistic. If your goal is lose weight, you can cut off an arm and lose weight. Like you could lose a few pounds just chopping off your arm. It's not realistic though, is it? And when you say lose weight, you could be sick, like say you're ill for 24 hours, you lose weight, goal achieved, whoop-de-doo, right? So it's too vague. It's not specific enough. And we will go obviously into smart targets later on in the presentation, but these are reasons people fail because like I just want to get healthier. It's like the hell does that mean? Right? What the hell does that mean? Based on who you think you should be. If you are a mum, for example, and you're like, well, my goal should be to take my kids on holiday once a year because that's what Mrs. Jones down the road is doing. Or I'm a high achiever, so I should have this body and I should have this job and I should have this income and I should have all my shit together. But that's not what you want. Really, what you want to do is quit your job, go to the forest, live in a tent, and do some, I don't know, rain dancing or weather dancing for the rest of the year. Like maybe that's what you want to do. And then fighting in natural habits. If you always push yourself to do things that aren't natural for you, and we can hack that and we'll talk about it, your body isn't going to respond in the same ways. You're always going to be battling. It's always going to be battle. Think about if you were in a boat, a canoe or something. I don't know. I don't do this kind of activity. But if you're in some kind of boat and you're either going up the river where it's like cascading towards you and there's like rocks everywhere and you're like, oh shit, I gotta navigate through this. That is gonna be a hard uh, journey. Whereas if you're going down the stream, it's nice and smooth, the weather's good, you're working with the water instead of against it, you're more likely to get to your destination and it's going to be a more enjoyable journey. So when you're making goals, you need to be thinking about all of these things, and some of these we will be going through, of course, in this presentation. Most people say, I just need more willpower, or I just need more motivation. And those people, sometimes I want to slap because like you can't live off willpower, you can't live off discipline, you can't live off motivation. All of those things are fleeting. Well, discipline is something we could talk about, but willpower and motivation are fleeting. They're not going to be constant. You can't just like easily harness it. And if you're waiting on that, well, willpower reduces at every decision that you make. So if you're going to go to the gym in the morning, you're more likely to do that than you are at 7 p.m. in the night. Because by then you've got decision fatigue, you've run out of time, you've run out of decisions, you're like, don't care, start tomorrow. So willpower uses brain power, like I just mentioned. So you've got this decision fatigue, the mental energy of having the willpower to have to use rather than a strategy, right? Rather than I know when this happens, this happens, this happens, I get my goal. It's like, oh, I need to think about what I'm gonna eat. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat this. Maybe I'm gonna, I'll see what's in the fridge, right? That takes a lot of brain power. This is having the food in the fridge you know you're gonna eat because you've already used the brain power in one burst to make the plan. Stress makes willpower harder. I don't know who of you did not have a stressful year last year, no stress at all. Lucky you. But for the rest of the world, stress is inevitable. And therefore, if you're stressed and you're on a diet and you're trying to eat better, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm stressed. Someone pass me the carrots. No, right? You're going to be like, pass me the wine, pass me the chocolate, give me all the shit. Like, just, that's what I want. Willpower and stress do not go hand in hand. And we revert back to old habits. So if you are stressed for dinner, you'd be like, well, I always have um, um, chicken Kiev with oven fries. That's what I always have for dinner. So that's what I'm going to have because it goes back to your natural habits. When I'm stressed, I eat chocolate. When I'm stressed, I have a bottle of wine. That's just how what I do. So when you're under a lot of stress, your brain will go, warning, warning, we're not doing anything different because we can't handle any more stress or brain cognitive stretching. We are going to just go back to what's normal, what's natural, what we know helps us temporarily. So, what is the fix? We need to build habits that don't need willpower, and the habits are going to come from discipline. I know I said we can't hack it, we can to an extent, but you have to be willing to look at your journey as a series of habits over time versus I wake up one day and I've hit my goal. Yay. It's not what happens. I'm telling you now. It takes time. It's a build-up of projects, just like if you sorry, build up of habits. Just like if you invest money and there's, you get £1, $1 back for every one you put in, or that's in your bank, you put one in, now you've got two, then you don't put any more in, now you've got four or whatever, right? So compounding, that's what we need, compounding habits to create your final goal. But if we've got a system in place, then we're more likely to reach our goal. Goal difficulty. Guys, I love you all, but most of you think too small for what you are actually capable of. So when people say, I want to lose weight or I'll tell you an example of a person that is here, right? I'm not going to name their names. They said that they wanted to start a business. And I said, well, you could do a session in our group if you want. You've got the skills. You could do the session in our group. Like, oh, no, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that. I don't know if I've got like, I don't feel like I don't, and I'm like, well, that is like, if you want to coach or be in that kind of position, if you come and do it in our group, you've done it, you've started it. But when we lower our own kind of expectations or abilities, we like kind of limit our abilities, we never go for what we want. And also, it's too easy to be like, I won't do that, it's too easy. Right, so we need to think about the Goldilocks effect. So research shows that clear and tough goals consistently work better than easy and vague ones. So you want goals that are not too easy, not like, oh, I'm going to just walk 3K a day, right? If you're already walking 8K a day, that is pointless. If the goal is too hard, you're like, I'm going to walk 20K a day and you're only walking 6K a day at the minute, Dumb idea, don't do it. But the best goals, say you're walking 5K a day, you could be like, I reckon 10K is a stretch. It is a stretch, but I probably could do it. Like realistically, I just need to get up a little bit earlier, or I need to like move throughout the day. Like realistically, I could get 10K from 5K. That is the kind of stretching of the goal that you need. So think about your comfort zone or what you're currently doing. Think about like what is like the ultimate goal, somewhere in between there, right? We don't want to be stretching ourselves too hard. Just think about it as like a bullseye, like a dartboard target. So that is, there's research to show that. And also, if it's too easy, you don't get that dopamine hit, which makes you go, if you achieved, I'll tell you an example. When I used to work in my old job, my manager used to be like, oh my God, Faye, this is amazing. I can't believe you did this. This is fantastic. You know, great. It's nice to be praised. But I was like, I'm just doing my job. There was no dopamine in that because I just felt like, it was just, I just turned up, I did the plan, done. Whereas when I wrote the international strategy, that was freaking hard because at the same time I was building my business, COVID was happening, and I had COVID. So it was like a big stretch to write the strategy for the university. But I was really proud of myself after because of all the battles and the challenges that I had throughout it. So think about that. Think about the stretch. Think about where you're at, and think about, are you willing to push yourself out of your comfort zone? And a good way to do that is think about the wine bottle, right? So think about being out of your comfort zone. Okay. Oops. So you need to believe in yourself. You can't be like, oh, this is never going to happen. I probably have. I can't think of an example off the top of my head. I'll think of one now. Lots of you guys, well, a couple of you guys do running. Good for you. It's not for me. But like Jess did her marathons, Kim's doing a half marathon, and I'm like, yes, well done you. But for me, that is not something that I feel like is a possibility. I know I won't do it. It doesn't emotionally sit with me. And also, I'm just not built for endurance running, right? I'm just not. I'm in pain all the time, my back, my feet, wherever. Like, it's not for me. So if it seems impossible, my brain is going to go into survival mode, see it as a threat, and be like, no, no, we're not doing this. And we'll find every reason not to do it. So you need to make goals that are not impossible. Like if you said to me, Faye, could you run 10K? I could be like, I could probably run 10K. Yeah. Not immediately, but it wouldn't be fast, probably an hour, 10 minutes, something like that. But I could run 10K. I could definitely run a 5K because I know I can do it. I've done it. So, but if it seems impossible, I'm not even going to try. So when you guys sit and think, I want to lose 3 dress sizes, but you know that you haven't been that size since you were 12, right? Like you're not gonna be able to get there, even if you tell yourself to try harder. So that's basically what happens. Your motivation drops, your focus drops, and your brain just says, we're not going to do this. There's no point. I know a lot of you have said that. There's no point in the past because I've definitely said it. So that's basically what happens when your goals are too hard. So we need to make sure that they're not too hard. But they need to be tough, right? So this is the Goldilocks issue here. If it's hard, you will work harder to stick with it. If it's easy, you can be like, meh, whatever. I don't have to put the effort in, la-di-da. When you set tough goals and you stick with it, you learn new skills. Because if you're not being stretched, it's not a hard enough goal, right? It's not a tough enough goal. So when you are being stretched, that could be skills, it could be experience, it could be personal growth, it could be whatever. Every time you hit one of those things, like, oh, I learned something today, you're going to be more confident. If you use discipline to say, I'm not going to have the chocolate, I'm going to have the apple, then that might have been stretched for you. And therefore, you've got the confidence to be like, well, I chose that once, I could choose it again, and so on and so forth. Compound. Once your confidence improves, now your belief circle in that bullseye that I was talking about has now increased. Like, oh, I can actually do this. You set yourself bigger goals, harder decisions, more consistent choices, whatever. And your world, not just your goals, right? Your world goes from being this like tiny, tiny dot in the ocean into like a ripple effect. and all of a sudden you are the pond, right? Wow, that's deep, isn't it? You are the pond at this point. So you need to be thinking about goals that are just outside your comfort zone. When you start to aim better, you don't just settle anymore. And I've definitely been there in my life where I've been like, I was married, I had a job, good job, and I had a house and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is fine, but I didn't want fine. And so I had to bring my life down to be able to grow back better. So once you recognize that you can do better, you stop settling in all areas of your life. I can tell you that from experience. It's not just your partner, it's not just work, it is family, friends, yourself. You completely change everything. But you need a plan to get there. You can't be like, guys, I love manifestation, right? But you can't be like, I'm going to put on my vision board and ta-da, there it is. You have to actually be doing the work to actually get there. So you need a plan if you want the dream. Is this making sense, guys? I'm trying not to like fly through too quickly, but I know I've got a lot of slides. Okay, so goals based on where you want to be. There's a couple of different things here which I can kind of pull together. So you need to think about where you want to be, who you want to be, not just what you want. So if I said to you, Kim, abracadabra, here's your goal body, here's your goal race time, wherever, right? You turn on your Garmin, you're like, oh my God, I did 10K in 30 minutes. Yes, I did it. But you didn't actually do the training to get there. You couldn't do it again just because you got the results, but you didn't become the person you want to be. Is that going to make people happy? If I made Rachel's kids grow up, abracadabra, they are, high achieving lawyers and not a vet, because I know she wouldn't want that, but whatever, right? They are these wonderful, wonderful job people. But she didn't have the input, the influence. She didn't get the journey to see them grow up, to get there, overcome the challenges. Would that make her happy? No. So you need to think about who you want to become and who you will become on that journey, not just what is the outcome that I want. So, example, you don't just decide to run a marathon because you see yourself as a runner. You do the actions and you become the person that is a runner, right? So there is a bit of identity first versus action first, but they both go hand in hand. Big goals help define your future self. So you have to, we could go on another tangent here, talk about quantum leaps and timelines, but we're not going to. So there is like, we need to be thinking about who you want to become really inside, not just who you think you should become, what other people expect of you. Think about who you want to become. And it needs to feel exciting, it needs to light a fire in you. And then pressure, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, I should get back on, I should go to the gym today, right? I didn't go yesterday, day one of the year, blah, 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 blah. I didn't go today, I'm not going to because I got this call and I got another one, and then I'm just not going on January the 2nd at 6 p.m, no chance. So I should go, but I'm not going to. But putting the pressure on myself, feeling guilty that I'm not going, is not going to help me get to my goal. It's just going to stress me out, make me feel miserable, and then be like, oh, well, what's the point? I may as well wait till next January, wait till 2027, start again. Right? So no shoulds. Always use the word could. Reflection. Okay, here's your first task. I know it's been a lot of me talking, so I'm going to be grateful for a little sip here. How reflection helps your brain. We have to look back before we can look forward, right? So when we have got unprocessed feelings, stories, experiences, whatever in our brain, takes up our space, like having tabs open on your taskbar, right? It's gonna make you feel stressed out, and they open a lot of loops. Now, humans do not like open loops, which is why Netflix does really well, because you're like, oh, what's happening next? Or books, right? Oh, I want to read the next chapter. That's me just like flicking through my Kindle, like, oh. And next minute, it's 3 hours later, I'm still reading. So we do not like open loops. We have to process the things that have happened so we can close the loop, shut the book, and be like, right, next. So to do this, I want you to think about the past year. This can be really important. You can make some notes now. You can do a good depth one after. But what were the best moments of 2025. The times that you felt really proud of yourself or really happy. So I encourage a pen and paper and some scribbles. And if you want to, you can share them in the chat. You don't have to, of course. Of course. And then I want you to think about your toughest times. Times that you struggled or you've been disappointed, things that have been really tough. So I'll go through two. I'll just pull up two of mine and then I will go through the next two. So the best moments this year were probably seeing Cam graduate, especially after like all the shit that he's been through. Like see him walk across the stage after being bedridden for like 4 months and finally get the certificate that he had worked his ass off for months. And then what was my toughest time? Well, obviously, right, the toughest time was between May when Cam had the accident and probably up until end of September when we had all of the, basically, we had almost, I think we had all of the appointments by that time and we'd had all the bad news after bad news after bad news. I was telling my friend the other day, like between the end of May and the end of September, there was not a day that I didn't break down and cry. Like literally every day I was like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. That was the freaking hardest. So May, June, July, August, third of the year last year was the toughest time of my life. And so when I was on holiday in the beginning of December, I told you guys, like after I got back, I was like, I didn't feel fully recharged when I got back. And part of that was because I dove into like fantasy books and I never read fantasy, but I wanted an escape. I did not close the loops from last year. I didn't think, well, the shit that I went through, how did I feel about it? Like that was traumatic for me to see Cam laying on the floor after, this woman saying, oh, the paramedics coming, get down there. And, like I hadn't processed those things. So I needed to process those, close those loops before I could then think about my goals for this year. So think about those kinds of things, right? You could have, like mine were a culmination of bad times. But you could have like one giant one, a good time. I went to Paris with my sister. That was nice. So think about those kinds of things. So then patterns. What patterns do you notice when you look back at the year? So my pattern last year was, what was my pattern last year? Probably something along the lines of, oh, I know, listening to other people too much. Specifically, the people I had paid to help me out, who told me that I should, there you go, should be doing something in my business that I didn't truly feel aligned with. So that was a pattern. I was like, oh, I feel like I shouldn't really be doing this, but they're saying I should be doing this. And so I've got this conflict. And what lessons did I learn that I want to remember for the future? Go with your gut. Like that is something that I want to move forward with. Is like, obviously I know what I feel aligned with and what I don't like, what feels like off in my body. Go with your gut. So that is just a quick, brief on that. So I want you to work on that. Okay, next. Janine, get my sip of tea. Okay, so why you need to let go before you can grow. So like I was just talking about, there was a lot of shit last year that I needed to let go of before I could move forward. And so studies show that when you keep putting up things that drain your energy, and I guess we can all think of those things, it uses up your mental and emotional fuel, right? So that energy that you're using to put up with less than is energy that could be going towards your goal. Every decision or indecision is a decision, right? Doing nothing is also a choice. So if you're like, oh, my partner speaks to me like shit, or they don't want what's good for me, or I say I want to go to the gym and they're just like, oh, just have a couple of drinks. And you're like, oh, like, if you're like, okay, yeah, I'll just have a couple of drinks with you because it'll make you happy. That is something that you are choosing and you're putting up with, and you're almost like lowering your expectations for yourself, you're lowering your growth potential, and you're lowering your dreams to put up with less than what you deserve and what you want. When you accept that, you tell your brain it's okay. And then every time you tolerate that behavior, it's a little bit more automatic, right? It becomes a habit. Now, as soon as they say, let's have a drink, instead of you going, oh, but I was going to go to the gym, you're like, yeah, okay, I'll just have a drink. So it's a habit. So we need to clear out the clutter before we can change. So we don't want to be, my friend said this the other day. He said, I'm not in the idea of collecting goals. That's what he said, which is, I thought was really interesting because we always add goals, right? We never take things away. We're always like, I want to do this and this and this and this and this. So we need to look at the past year about what don't we want anymore, not just what we do want. So more prompts for you. This is what I want you to note down while I'm chatting. We need to let go of a couple of things so we can achieve more. And we need to think about what drains your focus. Things that feel like work but don't really help. I do this sometimes. I call it like productive procrastination. I'm like, yeah, this really needs to be done. This plan needs to be written, even though I can write a million plans and never actually do the work. So that is a distraction for me. So they make you busy but not productive. It could be sorting out your cupboard instead of prepping your meals, right? That's a simple one. It could be going to the gym and doing a lot of hardcore cardio and then binging it all back after. They don't work together. What costs more than it gives? Some chances seem good, but they end up costing too much time, energy, or attention. So it's not worth it. So when you're thinking about your life, think about what is costing me more? What am I giving more energy to that I'm actually not receiving back? It could be people, it could be workouts, it could be bedtime routine. You're like, actually, that's a good one. Let's use that. When I go to bed, I'm going to scroll on my phone for half hour because that is my time. And too many of you are guilty of that. That's why I chose it. You're like, I'm going to scroll off. I'm going to scroll off. I'm going to switch off through scrolling. But actually, you know it doesn't serve you because the next day, or you go to sleep miserable because you're comparing yourself with everyone else, and you've just brain rotted yourself. You wake up the next day in a bad mood because you're tired, because you scrolled, because you know you should have the discipline not to do it, and all of those things. So that costs more than it gives. It doesn't make you switch off. What is good? What looks good but isn't you? Again, what are you trying to show outwardly, but it isn't what you want deep down? So let's say Anna, right? She's a writer. A passionate one and a good one at that. But let's, in an alternative reality, let's say that she has been told that she needs to write a book about coloured pens. Just write a book about coloured pens. I don't know, right? She has to write this book. And she does not want to, but she knows that if she writes this book, she'll get published by a massive publisher and she'll win awards and whatever, because everybody wants that book. She's like, I should do it because it's going to look good. I'm going to have accolades. I'm going to be like super famous because I'm the coloured pen book woman. But it's not what she wants. What in your life are you doing that suits other people, that you're doing it for the clout, that you're doing it for the status, for the sometimes not even status, right? Sometimes it is the respect from others, that you change yourself and your wants and your desires to appease others. I think that's really tough. Or are you just not going to put up with next year? You're like, no thanks, I've had enough of that. What is it? What have you been tolerating that is not good for you, bad for your life, ruins your intentions, your ambition gets lowered, goals never hit? What are you just not going to put up with? Is it people pleasing? Is it people telling you should be doing something? Is it that you're not putting up with your own shit? I'm not putting up with my own shit anymore. I'm not putting up with wasting time or saying, yeah, I'll do it and never fucking doing it. Like maybe that is, sorry, I saw. Maybe that's what it is. So some of these are going to be internal, right? Not external. And all of these things, by the way, we're not judging ourselves. We are just reflecting. Judge other people. Don't judge other people either. Just think and reflect on yourself. What habits or tasks should stay in the past, not come with you into the new year? I don't know if you've seen on social media, there's this like in and out list. So like what is coming into 2026 and what is staying out of 2026. So what habits don't serve you? And I think it's important to say that maybe they did serve you in the past, right? But now they've been holding you back. So let's say your um let's say my business. Let's say I was working 7 days a week, which I have done in the past. And I had to do that because that was just the nature of building a business or having like low periods or having big launches coming up. I have to just work 7 days a week sometimes. And they served me for that purpose, for that time. But actually now what they do is they take away from time with Cam, they take away from me processing things, they take away from me enjoying life and things that I actually want to do. So that is a habit that I want to keep in the past. There we go. And then this is probably the hardest one, is who are the people holding you back? And this could slap some of you like a wet fish because we might love these people and we might feel loyal to these people, but sometimes the people who are closest to us are actually the people that are holding us back. If you're doing things not to upset other people or you're staying small to keep people around you, you are living a life to please others and not to please yourself. And you'll never get to your goal. Think about if you don't want to drink alcohol anymore, right? Because this is like quite a big one. People look at you like you've got three heads if you're like, no, I don't drink. So if you had friends and they all drunk, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym in the mornings. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to eat healthy. And this is my focus. This is who I genuinely feel like I am inside. And I need to crack the shell so I can get out. What's going to happen is you're going to have friends who are like, yeah, go for it. And some people are going to be like, but don't succeed, please, because it'll make us feel bad. We don't like it when you're different. We don't like it because you don't hang out with us anymore. And that's okay. But you have to know that that's okay. Because otherwise, you're going to keep being stifled down to other people's standards. And that's not what this is about. Okay, is this making sense? Is there a lot of like cogs turning? Are we thinking a lot? Cool. Okay. Now, it seems like it's been all doom and gloom so far, right? We've just been like, what has been in the past? Who's pissed you off? Who's kept you small? But now I want you to think the other way. Imagine if you had a huge goal, like astronomical goal, huge, right? Don't not small. And if you achieve that goal, everybody would love it. Like if you even if you just said I'm going to do it, people like, yes, you can do it. I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. Blah blah. Like they are on your back. Like come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. What is the goal? Three goals actually. What are three huge out of your comfort zone goals that you would do or you would try? They don't have to be related. If you were not worried about other people's judgment. That's too small, Rachel. Think bigger. I can see your brain isn't just thinking too small, right? Bigger. International business, not just local van, like franchise of businesses around the world, right? That's what I'm thinking, around the universe. So, what are those huge goals? And they don't have to be huge, right? It could be like unlikely. Maybe you want to dye your hair green, right? It's not like a huge, huge, huge goal, but it could feel huge in your body because you're like, oh, don't know what other people think. Yeah, world domination, exactly. Surprised Tony didn't come up with that one actually, but there we go. You can fight to the death for that one. The two of you. Or you could collaborate, who knows? Excuse me, just cough my guts up here. Teamwork, exactly. So write them down, let them sit on the page, and even if they feel scary, just write them down. And then think about the excitement versus the fear. when goals are big, they're scary, and they're supposed to be scary because you've probably never done them before. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a goal, right? So instead of like small, safe goals, huge, way outside of that outer circle goal. Big, 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 big goals. Not realistic, huge, right? So that's what I would want you to think of. As a side note, I was thinking about pulling together a little document of all these like journal prompts. I did a journal prompt the other day, and these kind of things tell you a lot about yourself. The journal prompt was, if you could do 3 career paths or 3 kind of things that you currently don't do, what would it be? My first one was like, build like an app of some sort, maybe a Tinder style app for stray dogs, right? And people around the world. You can like swipe them, you got their little personalities, their pictures, and all that kind of stuff. The second one would be I would write. Actually, Anna, I would be Anna's little protege and I would be a writer. And then the third one would be I just love planning. Don't know if I tell you this enough, but I freaking love a plan. I would just be a full-time planner, whatever the hell that is. So those goals aren't like necessarily realistic, but they are out there. They're pretty out there. What do they tell me about me? Let's psychoanalyze Faye. Okay, it tells me that I like frameworks, but also freedom. So like when you write, it's got like a beginning, middle, and an end, right, of some sort, or it's got like the hero's journey, or it's got some sort of structure. So I like some sort of structure, but also the freedom to do anything. An app. If I create an app, you know it's got to kind of work on a phone, it's got to do this, that, Tinder style, but also the freedom to do how I want with it. It tells me that I like to work in isolation, but with some aspects of touch points. So working with a publisher or having the audience, you know, the readers, using the app would be again some sort of developer, I suppose, and the audience. What was that? Or planning, right? I would obviously be working with people to plan their plans, whatever they call them. So for me, those 3 things, like not necessarily isolation, what's the word I'm looking for? Having a bit of time to myself, having some freedom, but some structure is important to me. So when you write down 3 things, you could try the career thing if you wanted. Like have a look at those and what they tell you about you. And can you bring those into your life anymore? So for me, if I want more solitude, that's the word I was looking for. If I want more solitude, that's a very easy way to I can build that in my life, no problem. Right? So what can you do? But this is a good prompt to tell you a little bit more about you. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so some people, you might have seen this before, do like a word for the year. Sometimes it's like discipline. I asked in the group, discipline, strength, motivation, healthy, strength, fitness, strength. Strength was a lot of it. Discipline. So I want you to think about this word. You can write as many down as you want, but I want you to really come up with one word and take some time to do this. That the point of this is a compass, right? It's not like the be all and end all. It gives you the sense of direction of where you want to be. I want to be, like for me, I couldn't think of a word, but I could think of like a feeling, and I can process the feeling, but I can't think of like a word yet. Maybe I should ChatGPT this. But it's basically like the um the going, not like, oh, well, yeah, I'll get up, but I'm gonna hit snooze, and yeah, I'm gonna start this side of the business, but I'm gonna not do that yet, and like just to do it. I don't like the Nike, just do it. Well, that kind of like whatever I say I'm gonna do, just actually do it, like follow through, um, and really stick with things. So that is kind of my, it's not really a word, it's kind of like a phrase, I suppose, of the year that I'm gonna see all the way through. Think about it and then think about what that means in action. So I just give you some ideas of mine. If I've got like an arm of the business, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to do it. Obviously, it needs thought, right? Maybe I'll give myself like 48 hours to decide on the thing. When I've decided, I do it. Boom, boom. Decide what it requires you to say yes to. So it means that I would have to say yes to extra time doing certain things. And it would require me saying no to doing certain things. Because I can't just pile on top of my already busy life. So I'd have to say yes to more of X, Y, and Z and no to things that are in my life that I would probably have to let go of. So have a think about that word as well. When it comes to strength, that was a popular one, could mean strength in a relationship, could mean strength for you to feel strong and capable. That means you have to say yes to yourself more and no to other people more often. Unfortunately, can't have it both ways. So have a little think about that. That compass is going to help you consistently make decisions to become who you want to become, rather than in the moment being like, oh, well, I could do this, I could do that, and being incongruent with your decisions throughout the year. Okay. Connecting with your future self. This is all of us, apparently. Tony's in the background there with his lanyard on. So it is hard to make or think about our future self because it feels so out of reach. But we need to, when we think about our future self, we need to be patient and follow through on the small goals that will get us to who we want to become. Now, obviously, I've spoken so many times about the reticular activating system when it comes to our future self. I've spoken about visualization, and I will do another webinar on those kinds of aspects soon, including bonus information that I've recently learned, which is very interesting. So the brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is not, which is why anxiety is so strong. Because when we think, oh my God, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and that's going to happen, you start to panic, right? It's the emotion that's behind it. And when we've got emotion behind a thought, that's what makes it concrete. When we think about our past, maybe like a good time, maybe it was your wedding, or maybe not the birth of your child, but like after the birth of your child, maybe think about that and it floods you with these feelings. But neither the future worrying thing and the just birth of your child are current. They're both memories slash thoughts. They're both thoughts, but it is the emotions that we attach to them that make them permanent or stronger. So when you think about your goals, you have to think about who you want to become and what emotions you need to like feel emotions at the same time. This is going to pull together like different parts of your brain to fuse, and then basically what happens is your subconscious decides, okay, well, that is what we do normally. We always have a liter of water when we get out of bed because that's just what I do, because that's who you've become through thoughts, and you're basically like collapsing the timeline from where you are now to where you want to become. So a little bit of woo there, a little bit of neuroscience, we're all good. So you have to think about who you want to become. Task is picture your future self. In the workbook, there is a page for this, and you need to think about, at the end of this year, think about, right, you've just achieved everything you wanted this year. Everything, tick, 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 tick. When that happens, what does a typical day look like? What are you doing first thing when you wake up? Hour by hour, what does a day look like? How do you spend your time? What do you fill your calendar up with? Who do you spend time with? What's your bank account look like? What do your clothes look like? What does your hair look like? What does your spare time? What do you do? What do you do with that? What things now feel easy that used to be a huge struggle? Maybe you get up at 5. Weirdos. Maybe you wake up at 5 a.m. because that's easy. That's just what you do now. Maybe you go to bed by 9 and you just don't touch your phone from 6. Yeah, like they might be struggles now, but when we get to our goal, what are those things? So you need to be in depth, right? Like I can write for hours on this. Just, you could say fantasy. I suppose not fantasy, but it's the future. And that is really helpful. Think about everything that you're going to see. Like the way I do it is like I like to journal at the end of the day of that day. So like it is 1 minute to midnight before 2027. Today, this is what I did. Blah, 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 blah. I woke up, got out of my silk duvet, put my foot on the floor onto the rug, shaggy rug, walked over 3 steps, could hear the floorboards creaking underneath my feet, right? You're getting a picture of what is my bedroom looking like. So you need the detail in there as well. Okay, next. Come on, man. There you go. How do super successful people think about goals? A couple of things. So they first of all choose their future self over instant comfort. This is delayed gratification. A lot of the time we'd be like, oh, well, we do want that, but this feels easier in the moment, right? Like, I do want to get stronger, but it's cold out and I'd rather stay in bed, right? That instant gratification. Or I shouldn't eat this chocolate, but you know what? I've had a rough day, I'm tired, and I just want to eat it now. Because that makes us feel okay in the moment, but long term, it's not. So, who do I want to become? What does that person do in this instance? You have to think future, not now. It's a delay gratification. They aggressively cut out distractions. No, 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 no. We don't want any yeses. Like, if there's a distraction, if it's not working towards our goal, it's working against it. And so, no, get out. Now, that's a gauge for you. Might be different. If you're kids and the distraction, you probably can't cut out the kids. But you have to have that balance in there as well. So understand where on the line that you feel comfortable, like this is a distraction, I don't want it anymore. And get as many distractions out as possible so you've got more free mental space. And then they make one decision or decision once and then they keep doing it again and again and again and again and again. They don't just be like, oh, decide. Oh no, actually, do I regret that? Should I come back? No, should I? No, they decide, move on, decide, move on, decide, move on. And there was a study done and it was like, what was the actual thing that they done? It was pick a picture. So these people come into the research lab, I suppose, and they were told they had to pick a picture. And half of the participants said, right, you could take this home now, but in 30 days you can come back and you can change the picture if you want to. Oh no, 2 days time, come back, change the picture. And the other ones, they had to stick with that picture for 30 days. And the people that come back and changed their mind or didn't change their mind, whoever had the choice, at the end of the 30 days felt more regret than the people who just had the one. The people who just had the one choice and that was it were like, I love it. I love this picture. It's my favorite picture. And da-da-da. The people who were like, should I have changed my mind? Should I have stuck with it? Should I have had the original? They felt less happy with the decision. So make a decision, move on, right? And I think, again, tangent, but I think this is why relationships now are, or like if you're like dating, is harder because now you've got like Tinder and you're like, oh, I could I do better? Let me just have like a little look on my phone. So it's not as it's easier to look at options which then make you less happy. So there we go. That's how high performers do it. So good old Jeff Bezos, he looks at his decisions through an 80-year-old eyes. So he says, when I'm 80, will I regret not doing this? And I didn't know that Jeff Bezos did it, but I also did it when I was going through my just before kind of my divorce, my that kind of period of my life. Am I going to regret not traveling? Am I going to regret not trying my own business? Am I going to regret not doing those things? Because when you regret not doing them, you could have tried. And if it failed, it doesn't matter, you tried. So this, will I regret not doing this, changes it from what you're afraid of to what you care about, and from comfort to finding meaning later. So it looks past immediate worries, tying decisions to who you are and who you want to be in the long run, not just what you are now. When fears disappear, you're more likely to go for the things that you want. And it kind of brings the wall down. So you're like, oh, I can see where I want. Here's the opportunities. Rather than being like, oh, will I regret doing this? Will I regret not doing it? Changes the perspective. So will I regret not doing this when I'm 80? Warren Buffett. Good old Warren. Okay, so here's your task right now. I want you to write down 25 goals, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to kind of write this, or ideally you write them, right? You don't just think of them. You have to write this one. And these could be anything. Could be like, I want to travel 3 times a year. I want to start a business. I want to get really fit. I want to get promotion in my job. Even though those two conflict in, we can still write them down. I want to take my kids on holiday. I want to go on holiday by myself. Why am I always thinking about holidays? I don't know. I want to master 3 new recipes. I want to be a sponsored athlete on Gymshark, wherever. Like, just, there you go, there's 8 that you can kind of pick. Just write as many. I want to go on 300 dates this year. Fun. Think about all the free food. I want to try new clothes. I want to get smaller. I want to get fucking hench. I want to get a 100 kg deadlift. I want to get a 200 kg deadlift. I want to run 5K under 25 minutes. And Rachel, not world domination for this one. This one's like a little bit more realistic, but still, still possible. And one of mine be to come up with 2025 goals. 20, oh, with 25, but this is 2025. So that's a bit late for that one. What kind of one of yours be? No, you have to write them down. Silly. It is a lot, but if you're under time pressure, it makes you think quickly, doesn't it? And typically, what comes up are things that are teetering on the borderline of your mind. They're like, oh yeah, I actually would do that. Actually, I wish I could do that, you know? Sometimes they're things that you don't realize that are actually in your mind horizon. And to help you out, the way that I think about goals are 3 domains: health, wealth, and relationships. So into health, I write like a fitness goal of some sorts. It could be your body, it could be like lower blood pressure, those kind of things. Wealth could be like investments, savings, where you want to spend money, um, job, volunteering, could be anything like that. And then relationships could be friendships, community, family, and relationship with yourself, which is the one people always forget about, but it's super important. So, give you 1 more minute. And again, you can do this again right after. I'm just doing it to prove a point here. So stop where you are, however many goals you've got down. If it's 12, fine. If it's 5, fine. Well, no, it's got to be more than 5, actually. If it's more than 5, fine. If not, keep writing. And then what Warren Buffett says is to, once you've got that list, circle the 5 that are most important and ignore the rest, because you cannot achieve 25 goals. And I think the conversation this was, he was speaking to his pilot, it was, and he was like, right, what are your 25 goals? He was like, Warren Buffett said, what are the most, 5 most important? And he said these, and he scribbled out the rest. He was like, no, 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 we're not going to do the rest of these 20. So really important that you think about these goals instead of just being like, well, I just want as much as possible. Like my friend said, we're not in the game of collecting goals. So we have to understand what is not important just as well as what is important. so we know the direction to chase. In marketing, in business, there's a saying, it's like, if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one, which means that if I was to speak to men, if my content was like men over 50, women under 30, LGBTQ, people who work as self-employed, people who also are unemployed, people that are spiritualists, people who are atheists, no one would know who I'm talking to because I'd be talking to everyone and no one would be like, oh, that's me. Like I resonate with that. So you have to know what you're working towards. And also now think about your compass, that word, that is also going to help you with choosing these 5. So I just said health, wealth, and relationships, but there is something in the workbook called the Wheel of Life, which I think is really important. Now, people choose the different outsides of these. These are, I think, what most people use, and this is what I think is like positive psychology online uses. So money and finance, you create like a spider web like this. Career and work, health and fitness, environment, which is work and home, community, friends and family, partners and partners, I suppose, and love, personal growth and learning, and spirituality or any kind of belief, religion, whatever. The goal or the idea on this is to colour in, or you can circle or wherever. Like I say, it's in the booklet, so you can do it, or you can just rate them next to it if you wanted to. You kind of colour in these using Anna's coloured pens from a book as far up as you think it is. So currently, if your career is like a 10, like I'm smashing it, I'm doing awesome, you'd colour all the way up to 10, right? Then your health and fitness is like a 3. That's where it's been this year. My fun is like a 7, whatever. So you'd colour and you'd get this kind of like spider chart, I suppose, of where things are going well and where things are not going so well. Based on that, you can then decide what areas are most important for you to work on. And I don't believe in balance. I don't. Because I think if you really want a career, like if you want to be at top of your game, if you want to be like Warren Buffett or you want to be like Jeff Bezos or anybody like that, you have to sacrifice things at certain times. So if your career is at 10, you're probably not spending loads of time with your partner, probably not spending loads of time with your friends. You're probably doing a lot of growth and personal learning, but your free time and fun and recreation is probably non-existent. If you and your partner are arguing a lot, and that could be obviously like a 1, right? Yeah, like we're on the verge of breaking up, we are arguing all the time. If you want to improve that up to a 8, 9, or 10, you'd have to, right, well, our money has to come down because now we're going to spend more time out. We're going to go on date nights. We're going to go on holiday together, wherever, massage. I can't spend time in the evenings checking my emails, applying for promotions. I have to spend time with my partner. I can't go out. I can't spend all of my time reading personal growth books because I have to spend time together with my partner because that's important to me. Maybe we could read together on relationships or something. That's something else. But you can see things have to shift if you want to get anywhere. And if you want 10s across the board here, it's probably not going to happen. Especially not all at once, right? You might get health and fitness to a 10. You are meal planning, meal prepping, not missing a macro, hitting the gym, hitting your steps. You don't see your friends though. Like, so you have to think about the balance that you want in life. So when you get this, have a little task of this and go through, don't judge yourself, but go judge the ratings of each one. 10 being fully fulfilled and 1 being like needs work, I suppose. 0 is in the middle here. So that is the wheel of life. And again, I think it's really important to understand that you can't have it all at once. And this is why focus trumps balance. I don't believe that you can have everything all at once. Your brain gets tired because you've got too many things. There's too many options going on in your mind. And again, options that we spoke about earlier. You got too many goals, which you spread yourself too thin. If you're like, I need to spend more time with friends, more time with family, I need to get my 10,000 steps, I need to go to the gym 5 times a week, plus I need to do 2 lots of cardio, I need to get my steps in, I need to do la la la. Too much. You haven't got time to breathe. We need to focus on one thing. Now, I would suggest one thing per category: health, wealth, and relationships. That's kind of my go-to. And when you make progress, it makes me feel more capable. And again, that cycle comes in, right? Like we were talking about earlier. People always talk about like work-life balance, and they talk about like balance across life. And again, I think it's so, it's like damned on, isn't it? If you're like, well, I don't want balance, people are like, ugh, what's wrong with you? It's like, think about things that temporarily shift, your focus temporarily shifts because you want to hit a goal. You want to work towards something. And this is true for your fitness goals. So I assume most of you have got fitness goals, being in this group. Now, when people set their goals, I want you to focus on this triangle. And again, the fact that you can't have all three. You can have health, and with health, I mean healthy relationship with food, healthy relationship with your family, like healthy, like I'm eating a good variety of foods, right? Not restricting, not overeating, just healthy. Maybe you cut out refined sugars and gluten and whatever else you want to cut out. That's health. Aesthetics is like at this point here, I want to be a pro bodybuilder. I want to be bikini queen. I want to step on stage. I want to win. I want to be pro level, and I want to work internationally. I want to, compete internationally. When you do that, you are not going to be healthy. Most bikini competitors do not have a period. They've lost their cycle. Their hair falls out. Their skin gets really bad. Their health goes to shit, basically. And they do not lift heavy like performance athletes. They can't run like a runner. They can't sprint like a sprinter. They can't jump like a jumpy, like a basketball player, right? They only care about how they look. They don't care about how they can lift. And then you got performance, like Jess and Kim running. When you run, you can't care too much about your health and having like a full lifestyle, I suppose, because if you think about if you're running for a marathon, the amount of hours you have to put in training, you can't have a healthy life balance, seeing your friends versus training. Have to train more. And you also can't care about aesthetics because when you're performing, you have to fuel for performance, not for looks and not for health. So when you're setting a goal, think about it on this triangle. And no one is saying pick one. I'm saying put a point at any point in this triangle. It could be in the middle to the right. So I'm like half health and half performance. It could be bang in the middle. I want to be good at everything, but not like super, super ripped. I don't want to cut out loads of things out my diet. And I don't want to be obsessed with fueling for performance, my sport, wherever it is. Could be that you want to be between aesthetics and performance. Okay, well, that means like you're probably not going to have a ton of time to eat out with friends. So your overall health, and I mean like lifestyle health, will need to reduce. If you're eating out more, your health will come down anyway because no one's tracking those calories correctly. So always think of it as this triangle, okay? So I've just spoken about that. And there is no right goal, just an honest one. So think about where you want to sit. I have set my goal slightly differently this year. Instead of doing it like the workbook does, I've changed to quarterly. So for you, you might be like, right, I'm going to do a quarter, like 3 months up here. I'm going to do 3 months down here. I'm going to do 3 months down there. Wherever, right? Like 3 months in the middle, whatever you want to do. But I want you to think about, you don't have to stick with one and never change it. You might go into aesthetics and go 3 months in, like, fuck, this is solid. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to get stronger. Wherever. You don't have to commit. And that is it, set in stone. It's not a tattoo, right? So choose 3 goals. Like I just said, health, wealth, relationships. They're the way that I would do it. 1 goal in each one. 3 goals, 1 season, clear direction. Then you need to ask yourself, for each of the goals, does this fit with my main theme, the word? for 2026? Does it make sense for what I'm doing right now? You could be looking to do a photo shoot in a few months, but you know, it's your birthday's coming up and it's your partner's birthday, and then you always do something on Valentine's Day and you've got a holiday coming up. It's like, it's a good goal, but not right now. Maybe Q2 would be better for something like that. Or does it simply look impressive to others? Are you just doing it to be like, look what I could do? Like Jess and her marathon. She didn't love them. She just wanted to brag to everyone else that she's done 2 back to back. No, it's good achievement. But that's what you need to think about. Is it really for you? And always come back to those questions there. So now we get a little bit more tactical, a little bit more boring, I suppose, if you're enjoying what I've said so far. But basically, it is the SMARTs. I always add an S on the end, SMART target. So wherever your goal is, has to be specific. Can't just be get fit. It could be run 5K without stopping, right? Because get fit, you don't know when you've hit it. You don't know if it's fit with strength, fit with cardiovascular, fit with running, fit with rowing, fit with swimming, whatever. All different fitnesses. Measurable. It needs to know, can it be measured? So 5K without stopping. So 5K, yes, and without stopping, yes. Both measurable. Achievable. If you have never run before and you are saying, I'm going to run 5K without stopping in 2 weeks, not achievable. 3 months, achievable. So you need to be realistic with that. And if you don't know, ask your coach when it comes to fitness. We can't help with relationship goals. We can't help with any other kind of work goals generally, but we can help with the fitness goals. Resourced. Do you have what you need? Time is a resource. People are a resource. Money is a resource. Skills are a resource. If you do not have those skills, for example, who can you get that has those skills to help you do it? If you don't have the time to do it, use your financial resource and outsource it. I'm thinking business in this aspect. But in fitness, it could be, I haven't got time to cook, so I'm going to buy meal prep meals, right? Easy, done. Timed. Not at some point in the future, hopefully. It is like by X date or within X time or blah, blah, blah. Give yourself a deadline. And then the final S, which people don't normally use, so I think is probably the most important, is a sacrifice. What are you willing to give up to get this goal? If you're saying to me, I want to be a bikini competitor, but I'm also want to spend every Friday and Saturday getting pissed, it's not going to happen. The sacrifice does not meet the goal. So can you still get into decent shape? Probably not. But if you were going out once a month, can you still get in good shape? Yes. Can you get bikini competitor shape getting drunk once a month? No. Right? So your sacrifice has to match your goal. You can't teeter around this. Okay, we are coming to the end, I promise. So you've got habits and not heroics. So we want to basically get the brain to choose things automatically so we don't have to think about it. We're all busy. We don't need extra things to think about. So we need the brain to automate action. And we do that through habits. And we get habits through disciplines. You have to use a little bit of discipline at the beginning, then habits are formed. Then you don't have the discipline for that because they're habit. So you've now earned back this discipline. You can put it somewhere else. That's how you kind of work it. So the brain will automatically make repeated tasks easier, which is why when you drive to work or the shop or the gym, you're like, how did I get here? You didn't think about it, you just got there, right? Because the brain automatically knows the way it's going. Hard becomes easy, and that is how you can use the brain to trick your brain to reach your goals. Compounding actions, like I said earlier, small actions every single day. If you were flying a plane, maybe that was one of your goals, anybody? And your GPS is off by 1 degree, you might think you're going to be in America, but you end up in Alaska or something, right? That wasn't a good idea, was it? Good analogy. You end up in Africa. There we go. Right? So you're like 1 degree off, but for a long period of time, it's going to throw you off. So instead, you want to keep coming back into action, like the action that is along your journey. Consistency reshapes identity. So become it. Don't be like, oh yeah, I'm going to just start doing this at some point. You have to actually take the action to become that person. And then intensity versus repetition. If you had not seen the sun for a year, right? You've just been in your house for a whole year. And it's the middle of summer in somewhere not England, right? Let's just say Spain. You're in Spain, you go outside. And you're like, I want a tan. You wouldn't go out for a full hour, would you? Right? Because you would burn to a crisp. Literally, your body hasn't seen it. So instead, you say, I'm going to go out for 1 minute. And then in a week or something, you go out for 5 minutes. And then a couple of weeks later, you go out 10 minutes. And you kind of like consistently tan over time without the risk of literally being burnt to a crisp. So the intensity of your actions matter less than the consistency of them. So small consistency, repeated actions result in better outcomes. So always think about small things. And in the workbook, we do chunk it down. I think, do I write it in this? I can't remember. Did I? But we do chunk it down from what is the goal I want for the year? How will I know when I'm halfway there, quarter of the way there, monthly? I think I did write it down actually. Weekly and then daily. So it is broken down. There we go, just like this. As if I knew what was coming. So you break it down into quarters, or actually it should be halfway and then quarter one actually. So they're the wrong around. So if you want to lose, I don't love doing weight loss goals, but it's easy to kind of to give you an example. I'm going to lose 12 pounds over the next year. By month 6, I should have lost 6 pounds. By month 3, quarter, I should have lost 3 pounds. 1 pound a month, which means that I should lose quarter of a pound a week. So each week I need to hit that. I need to hit my meal prep. I need to plan my workouts, make sure I book that into time. I need to make sure I get my steps in, blah, blah. And then daily habits, wake up on time, drink my water, get my steps in. All of those like small habits, they will all compound. When you have created this isn't in the workbook. This is a new piece. I want you to think about a different triangle now. It's also still 3-sided. You've got a floor and a ceiling. The floor is the absolute minimum that you could do on your worst day that would still work towards your goals. Maybe that is a bare minimum getting 8K steps a day. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if I'm ill. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I've got an interview. I'm hitting those 8K steps. The top, the ceiling, might be I'm hitting 15K steps. On my perfect day, I'd hit 15,000 steps a day. No excuses. I'd be bang on my meal prep. I'd be bang on my macros. I would hit my workouts. I'd get stronger every single workout. I would have a self-care time. I'd recover. I'd make sure that I'm doing like freaking red light saunas once a week. That's the ceiling. In reality, we're not going to hit there, right? So it's important that we have a ceiling and we have a floor. And you always go between these two every single day. Even on your worst day, you've got a list now of exactly what you need to hit. Even if you feel like shit, still hitting it. Even if you feel overwhelmed, because you've got a list of exactly what the bare minimums are. And then checking in on your goals. So moving forward, I think, guys, we are going to have every quarter a kind of like review of the last quarter, kind of like this, but obviously smaller, and it's more like a reflection and kind of move forward rather than like a full thing like this. But we're going to be looking at reviewing, adjusting our plans, what's realistic, how to move forward, because if you lose weight in January and February, March, it might start to slow down after that. So we might then need to be like, right, what is the likelihood that we're going to continue at this pace? That kind of thing we need to think about. We're going to reflect back on the word for 2026 and focus on the overall direction, not about perfection. It might be that we need to tweak goals as well. Maybe, like I said, maybe you don't want to be a bikini competitor at month 3 because you're like, this is miserable. And now I'm happy where I look, or I want to lose a little bit more, but whatever. And we adjust it. That's fine too. Monthly reviews, I would recommend adding these into your calendars. So the quarterly we'll do as a group. Monthly, you guys need to be smashing this in. Am I making progress? Am I going in the right direction? Am I still on track? Is it still what I want? What new things have I added? What things can I do less of? All of those. And then weekly. If you have your check-in, you can review it in the bottom. You could put this in the bottom. You could journal yourself. You could have a meeting with a friend, with your partner. It's nice if you've got a partner you could do this kind of thing with. You both work together to get something. You could get a buddy in the group and do like a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing. So you review, am I truly working towards my goal? Or have I been lazy this week? What went well this week? And what is one thing I could do better next week? Not what's one thing I did well and what have I done shit so I can beat myself up? No. 3 things you've done well, 1 thing that you can improve. Could be just getting up on time. Could be drinking water. Like one of mine, I'll tell you, I'll share, is 2,000 steps by 2 hours after I wake up. Because normally I get up, I roll out of bed, have breakfast, get ready for the day, work, and I sit for hours, right? And then I go to the gym, and that's it. I come back and I work. So sometimes I don't get to the gym till 3, 4 o'clock. I haven't moved till then. So just this simple act of 2,000 steps by 2 hours after I wake up. Some people might be like, that's easy, Faye. Some people, like me, no morning people, right? So you choose your goal and you adapt to it. Okay. Upcoming trainings. Like I mentioned, we're going to be reviewing quarterly. I've got some trainings coming up on hacking motivation and discipline, coping with stress, small body cues, which are like simple tricks to get your body and mind working towards your goals, not against them, and what to do when you're not feeling it. Because it's one thing to set goals, it's another to actually achieve them, especially when things aren't going well. So I hope that's helpful. I will finish this recording now, but if you're watching the recording, you've got any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help. If you are a client, obviously, we are going to do small group calls over the next couple of weeks so we can come together if you can attend and just share goals, ask questions, get them answered, all those kind of things so we can create a plan together. And yeah, if you've got any other things that you want in the upcoming trainings, let me know and I will do that for you. And I will speak to you soon. Okay.